Good morning and welcome to a new week of the Morning Espresso on the SDH Network, brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and a true soccer powerhouse here in the A. Also, welcome to our new home on the newsletter side of things at Beehive. Hopefully you guys are getting the newsletters. If you missed it this morning and you're a subscriber, go check your filters. That's where mine ended up. This was our first publish with Beehive. Hopefully it makes things a little bit easier and you like the changes that we're going to be rolling out for 2026 and beyond. But more than anything, thank you for being part of the SDH Network as we close out 2025 together and keep building this daily habit of smart, fast, Atlanta-rooted coverage of the global game. As the year winds down, we hope you find these final days bring you a strong finish to your year and a little momentum heading into what's next. In the soccer world, it's been a year full of pressure points, of big moments, and just of all the reminders of why the sport connects people across borders, across communities. If Morning Espresso has become part of your routine, help us grow it. Share it with a friend, a group chat, anyone who loves the game and wants clear context to start their day, whether that's the podcast version or the newsletter edition, or both if you're a sicko like the rest of us. The more voices around the table, the better the conversation becomes. Let's get into it for Monday, December 29th, and let's start in England. Three-way tension at the top of the Premier League. The season has kind of reached the point where separation at the top feels almost impossible. The table reflects it. Arsenal head into the final week of 2025 on top, 2 points clear of Manchester City. But Aston Villa are right there as well, and it feels like a three-horse race the rest of the way. City applied pressure early on Saturday, lunchtime win over Nottingham Forest. Arsenal answered later in the day, tense 2-1 win over Brighton at the Emirates. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't perfect, but that's the kind of win that matters in these kinds of situations. Martin Odegaard, he opened the scoring, becoming Arsenal's 12th different league scorer this season. And an own goal from a Declan Rice corner gave them breathing room. They dominated long stretches, but they conceded late, and they needed a world-class save from David Raya to secure the points. That theme keeps coming up with this Arsenal team. Since they lost at Villa Park on December 6th, they've won 5 straight matches in all competitions. But several of those have come by narrow margins, whether it's own goals, penalties, late saves. It hasn't always been the kind of football that Mikel Arteta wants, but it has been resilient. He acknowledged afterward that the margins should be bigger, but he also pointed to what he sees as the defining trait of this group right now, adaptability. Injuries forced Declan Rice to play at right back. Players were lost late in the warm-up, and the response was still strong, 3 points. In Arteta's word, that spirit is what keeps them moving forward. All of that sets the stage for Tuesday night. Aston Villa come to the Emirates in what feels like a genuine pivot point in the title race. Villa have already beaten Arsenal once this season, scoring a stoppage time winner at Villa Park in a match Arteta described as cruel. He's made it clear that result hasn't been forgotten and that it can be used the right way as motivation rather than pressure. Aston Villa 100% deserve to be here. Under Unai Emery, they've gone from mid-table uncertainty just a few years ago to a team with real structure, real belief. They've won 11 straight matches. That equals a club record that stood for more than a century, and they keep finding ways to turn games in their favor. The spreadsheet jockeys and the data skeptics, they're going to point to expected goals. They're going to point to stretches where Villa are outplayed. But the game doesn't live on a spreadsheet. Villa have won 18 points from losing positions this season. Unai Emery's substitutions have produced 9 goals. That's mentality. That's management. That's timing. That's belief. This is an Aston Villa team that 100% deserves to be where they are. They can prove a lot of people wrong if they get a result at the Emirates on Tuesday. Meanwhile, and it's funny with their overall dominance over the last, 8 years or so. Meanwhile, Manchester City are still just hanging around lurking, and I think people are maybe forgetting that. Pep Guardiola has spoken openly about rediscovering energy, clarity after last season's dip. He cited the Club World Cup experience in the United States as a big part of that. He was really sad to see their run in that tournament end when it did, because he felt like they were playing really well. They were training really well. And the energy and the vibe was growing every single day. Players like Ryan Cherki have added some creativity, some unpredictability. He's been one of the best chance creators in Europe. And his acquisition, which we talked about ahead of that Club World Cup game here in Atlanta, his acquisition's looking like one of the best in Europe this season right now. Opta still makes Arsenal the favorites, but the margin has narrowed. City's probability is rising, and Villa are not just a novelty in the Premier League race at this point. Tuesday's night's match it feels like a statement opportunity for both Arsenal and Aston Villa, and Manchester City are watching and waiting. They'd love to see a draw in this one. Let's go to AFCON. It heads towards decision day. Match day 3 starts today around the tournament. Drama, emotion, history all over this tournament. It has been an absolute blast to watch on beIN Sports and on Fnatis, fntz.co/soccer down here if you're not already a subscriber. Sunday gave us one of the tournament's most powerful moments so far. Mozambique, they earned their first Africa Cup of Nations victory in 40 years with a 3-2 win over Gabon. First win since their debut tournament in 1986, and it came with goals, chaos, and leadership from 42-year-old Elias Palembi. Faisal Bengal, who is currently playing in Italy's 4th division, opened the scoring and just reminds everybody that AFCON stories are written everywhere. Gabon fought back through Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, but back-to-back defeats mean that they're out. And if you go back to World Cup qualifying, they were so close and fell at the last hurdle, and it's felt like they have not overcome that yet. Poor tournament for them, and we'll see what happens next for Aubameyang and for Denis Bouanga and the rest of the Gabon national team. Let's go to Group F. The heavyweight match was the last one yesterday. Côte d'Ivoire and Cameroon, 1-1 draw. Second half was amazing. Just a great match all the way around. Amad Diallo, he continued his outstanding tournament, scoring again, being involved in nearly everything for the Ivory Coast. But Cameroon stayed alive thanks to another deflected goal. Both teams had chances to win. Both teams needed help to not lose. The result leaves Côte d'Ivoire and Cameroon tied on 4 points. Mozambique right behind them on 3. Nothing is settled in Group F. Group E, Algeria, they secured the top spot with a 1-0 win over Burkina Faso. Riyad Mahrez scored again to extend his AFCON scoring record. Wasn't easy for Algeria. They were tested, but they controlled the match pretty well. Behind them, Sudan picked up their first points of the tournament, a late win over Equatorial Guinea. And Sudan's story continues to resonate far beyond football. We've talked about the issues that some of their leading clubs have had to deal with playing in other countries' leagues right now. This is something we've covered on the morning Espresso and on soccer over there. They've had players who and teams who've had to train and play abroad. They've dealt with a ton of different injuries. They represent a country in crisis right now. Their players have become a source of unity and pride for the people of Sudan. Their hopes of reaching the knockout rounds are still very much alive heading into the final match day. Monday brings decision day for Groups A and B. The hosts, Morocco, they faced Zambia under pressure after a frustrating draw with Mali. Achraf Hakimi, who should be back in the team today, he openly called for unity between players and supporters. There were whistles as the team left the field against Mali. The pressure and maybe the expectation has risen very, very quickly for Morocco hosting this tournament. Elsewhere, Zimbabwe faced South Africa in a regional derby with knockout implications. Egypt looked to finish a perfect group. Mali, they put an impressive unbeaten AFCON group on the line against Comoros. By Wednesday, the knockout field will be set. But if this group stage has taught us anything, it's that nothing comes easy at AFCON. Let's bring the focus back to the domestic side of things. Christian Pulisic, he continues to stack one of the best seasons of his career. He scored again as Milan closed 2025 with a 3-0 win over Hellas Verona. He takes his tally up to 10 goals and 2 assists in just 15 matches this season. Since joining Milan, Pulisic has been involved in 50 goals across all competitions, second only to Lautaro Martinez in Serie A over that span. With the Home World Cup coming up in 2026, his timing to be in the best form of his career could not be better. And yeah, I will remind people of all of the criticism about him not playing in the Gold Cup this summer. I think it's paying off right now. Hopefully it can continue to pay off as you get closer to the World Cup. In the NWSL, according to the San Francisco Chronicle, Bay FC are emerging as the leading contender to bring Catarina Macario to the NWSL. Her Chelsea contract expires this summer. January pre-contract option is looming to sign her to join in the summer. MLS roster movement continues as well. Chicago Fire, big addition as they add veteran midfielder Robin Lod from Minnesota. Charlotte FC, they're set to sign Luca De La Torre from Celta Vigo as he was on loan with San Diego last year, but he will be headed to Charlotte, according to reports. Minnesota United acquired Tomas Chancalay from the New England Revolution, and Orlando City invested in their future with Brazilian teenager Luis Otavio. Inter Miami, they also announced the full preseason tour through South America. They will face Alianza Lima, Atlético Nacional, and Barcelona SC in Guayaquil as they begin preparations to defend their title, and they will have a lot of spotlights facing them as they get ready for this. Don't forget SDH AM this morning. It starts at 9:05. You can watch on YouTube, Twitch, and on X, and if you miss it, you can always check in on demand, either in those places, or you can listen to the podcast edition that'll be posted this afternoon on the SDH Network podcast feed. Abe Gordon, Bart Keeler join as always on Monday to break down the weekend and set the tone for the week ahead. And tonight, 8 o'clock, soccer over there. Deeper dive into AFCON, more from around the world, and our latest picks of the week, where I believe we're going to go to at least 2 new leagues that we have never picked games from. Buffoonery, shenanigans, all the things on soccer over there tonight at 8 o'clock. Let's get into the refill one more time. Some news from around the world. Celtic, they closed the gap in Scotland. Wild 4-2 win at Livingston. Hearts lost to Hibs earlier in the day, and now the lead is only 3 points at the top of the Scottish Premiership. Maybe Wilfred Nancy knows what he's doing after all. Just saying. There were 4 goals in the first 10 minutes of that game with Livingston, though. It was 2-2, and it was absolute chaos. Inter, they head into the new year on top of Serie A, 1-0 win at Atalanta. Lautaro Martinez, he was the difference again in the tightly packed title race. Napoli, they're chasing reinforcements in January, and they were rebuffed in their attempt to get Franco Mastantuono, the young Argentine, on loan from Real Madrid. Madrid, even though he's on the second team according to the rosters, they're determined to keep him in-house this season. Miguel Borja, he is set to join Cruz Azul as his River Plate contract is expiring, and Cruz Azul could have some money to spend on Borja, with Atletico Mineiro making a significant bid for our old friend Yorgos Yakimakis, who has been on loan back in Greece and done pretty well. Still under contract to Cruz Azul. I don't know if they're going to fully recoup the money that they spent with Atlanta United to bring in Yakimakis, but Mineiro could be bringing Yakimakis to the Brazilian Serie A. Speaking of the Brazilian Serie A, Flamengo, they locked in continuity by extending their head coach Felipe Luis through 2027. It looked like at one point over the weekend he was going to leave. One of the best managers in South America. He does have European aspirations. There was probably quite a bit of debate over the release clause in his contract. Connecticut United, they named Shavar Thomas as the head coach for their inaugural MLS Next Pro season in 2026. Excited to see what that project can be. I've heard some of the stories as everything has come together there, and it's a very ambitious club that is being launched in Connecticut for 2026 and beyond. I don't think they're just going to settle for being an MLS Next Pro side. We'll see how they can grow. Manchester United remain, according to The Athletic, England's most valuable club by a decent margin. They're close to $5 billion is what they're worth. We'll see if they can get the on-field, which has been better under Ruben Amorim as of late. We'll see if they can get the on-field a little bit closer to the off-field valuation. And in Liga MX, I wanted to highlight Paulinho. He has continued to make history with Toluca. He's put himself firmly in Portugal's World Cup conversation. He is the first player since the 40s to lead the league in scoring and win the title in back-to-back seasons. He might be in a Portuguese kit for the first time at the Estadio Azteca when they play against Mexico in the re-inauguration of the famous venue in March. He could be in a Portuguese kit when they come to Atlanta to play the U.S. men's national team in March. Busy time ahead as we start to get ready for what's coming in 2026, but we got a few more days left in 2025. Right now, the common thread, pressure, opportunity. You got the 3-team title race taking shape in England, AFCON delivering drama at every single turn, and then all of the rumor mill and innuendo and silly season drama, all of that is happening as teams position themselves for a big year ahead. The calendar may be turning, but the game isn't slowing down. If anything, it's only accelerating. Thank you for spending part of your morning with us. This has been the Morning Espresso on the SDH Network, where we are always around the corner from everywhere.